Welcome viewers, we have a very interesting debate lined up for you today. India's premier liberal arts university, the JNU or the Jawaharlal Nehru University, has proposed the concept of an Islamic terrorism course. Now, if cleared, this will be offered by its Center for National Security Studies, which is being set up. Now, as expected, the proposal has caused a storm of protest, beginning with the university's very own Students' Union and going all the way to the Delhi Minorities Commission, which has served the university a legal notice. And in fact, joining me today are some very learned guests who will debate on whether JNU through this course is promoting Islamophobia, whether the varsity is guilty of labeling a community, or is this entire controversy over a name overshadowing the need for formal study of terrorism in India? Those are very pertinent questions that we are going to ask. But first, let's take a quick look at this report.
The Jawaharlal Nehru University is in the eye of the storm yet again. This time for a bizarre reason. As per reports, the Academic Council of JNU is considering a concept of a course on Islamic terrorism. This course, if cleared, would be offered by its brand new Center for National Security Studies. Expectedly, the news sparked off a massive controversy, with the university's own students being the first to object. Close on the heels came a letter from the Aligarh Muslim University's Students' Union to the HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar, seeking his intervention into the issue. Followed by this was the Delhi Minorities Commission. The commission issued a notice to the registrar of JNU, seeking to know the reason behind the reported introduction of a new course on Islamic terrorism. The commission has also sought details about the areas to be covered under this subject.
On the course called Islamic Terrorism that the JNU plans to start, the Aligarh Muslim University students have written a letter asking the HRD to intervene. But the Minorities Commission has also taken a very strong notice and asked what is the reason for the introduction of the course. Sir, tell us, you've issued a notice to JNU on the kind of course called Islamic Terrorism that they're planning to implement.
Yes, we have done it, yes. Because we find it a bit awkward that an academic institution takes up a political issue. It is a political issue, or rather politicized issue, which has not entered the boundaries of any academic institution as far as I know. I don't know, I have been involved in these things for very long. I don't know that any university in the world is teaching such a subject as Islamic terrorism. So it is, I think, a very politically motivated subject.
Definitely students are not supporting the kind of course that the JNU university, that is a prestigious university, wants to begin. And the commission has also written a notice to the university asking for the kind of concept notes that need to be given to show whether or not this course is discriminatory or not.
This is not the first time that JNU has gotten into a controversy. There are many instances earlier as well. But Mira now asks, why even propose a concept such as Islamic terror when the committee is aware of the intolerance that gets brewed up? Let's debate.
And that's the debate we've lined up for you this evening. Let me go across straight first to Kamal Mitra Shenoy. Kamal Mitra Shenoy, of course, you're also associated with the JNU. Give us the rationale behind introducing a course on Islamic terrorism, or at least discussing the concept of a course on Islamic terrorism.
Number one, there's no rationale. And no rationale was provided and accepted in the academic council. The question of any particular religion being linked to terrorism is an unscientific and motivated act. And I am in the School of International Studies since 1990, where international studies are studied. And it is also a fact that our Vice Chancellor has a particular political mooring. And that is why he has acted largely with a small coterie. It was not that it was democratically decided and passed through. It has been rammed through, and it is a shameful episode. Look at it this way. They talk of Islamic terrorism. Is there any one religion only in Islam? Aren't there Shia, Sunnis, Druze, Behelvis and others? And how can a religion as a whole be linked to terrorism? Do we do that for Hindus? Do we do that for Jews? Do we do that for Christians? We don't do that. So it is not just a bizarre proposal, it is an anti-intellectual and communal proposal which goes against the grain of JNU. And JNU was founded in an act in 1966. Classes started in the late 60s. We have never had such a proposal to date, that is till 2018. So it is a shameful thing. It has nothing to do with academia, but I am not very sure how the Minister of Human Resource Development will react to this episode.
Dr. Shenoy, I am very interested in your choice of words. You said that this is a proposal mooted by a Vice Chancellor with a particular political mooring. What exactly do you mean when you say political mooring? Would you care to elaborate on that?
I'll even give you the source. If you look at Google Groups 1994, he has one post of H.V. Sheshadri, who was General Secretary of the RSS, called The National Relevance of the RSS in India's Social Life. And he has another post from Organizer, which is a magazine of the RSS, which says Devri, the only script. Devanagari, the only script, meaning no other script in India can replace Devanagari. So that's his, that is his opinion. And he doesn't hide it very well or very much. And he is an engineer. He has no idea of what international studies is, what religions are, how malleable and dispersed religions are. I mean, this kind of question should also have gone to a religious faculty, who looked at religion. That also we didn't do. So, I mean, it is a political gambit. It is not an academic development which will do any good for understanding terrorism. No terrorism is pure in itself, and therefore even you can't have an Islamic terrorism, because take for example the ISIS. The ISIS bombed Baghdad. Why did they bomb Baghdad? Because the Iraqis are Shias and they are Sunni. So there are internal fights. So this idea of one terrorist, Islamic, Christian, Hindu, all of that is just ridiculous and is very, very misleading and damaging for the future careers of our students if they fall for this kind of stuff.
Right. I thank you for your candor over there, Dr. Shenoy. Raman Malik, would you care to respond to what Dr. Shenoy just said?
Yeah, what Mr. Shenoy has said, it very clearly depicts certain facts. Mr. Shenoy, by this statement, has approved the fact that over a period of time, since the inception of this particular organization, the university, there have been political people within political ideology trying to profess a particular mindset in this nation for the last 70 years, because if I go on to his level and understand, and if we take that to be the gospel truth, we are talking about Mr. Shenoy saying that all the VCs till now have been of the political lineage because they've been appointed by political parties, and since their political lineages are there, that means they were, professing a particular ideology over a period of time, and which has resulted in this whole gambit of affair in various certain universities who call themselves the center of learning, but they end up being a center for, breaking India down. So probably what Mr. Shenoy has done today is opened up the facts. So that is first part of it. The second part of it is that the universities are autonomous bodies. Now they take decisions. There are councils in it. Now, what if there is a problem and the minority commission or other people have written, then the government would take the decisions as per the rules inscribed.
No, Raman Malik, you are right now. You are essentially casting aspersions on the university. Respond to what Dr. Shenoy said. Respond to the allegation he just made, which you partially accepted.
It is not a hidden fact. It is not a hidden fact what ideology Dr. Shenoy follows and tries to protect.
We are not talking about Dr. Shenoy's ideologies. We are talking here, Raman Malik. We are talking here about whether the ideologies the Vice Chancellor follows, whether that is what is determining the choice of a course. Choice of the introduction of a course called Islamic terrorism in the university.
So talking about and going through the same, mindset that professed by Mr. Shenoy, I would say that if he's saying that the Vice Chancellor is of a particular ideology, that means the previous Vice Chancellors of JNU were of a different ideology.
Raman Malik, I do not understand why you have to go into history. We are talking about a course that is being proposed. Let's talk. Let's talk about this particular course. Raman Malik, the discussion today is about a course called Islamic terrorism, which is being proposed to be introduced.
One must understand the same gang of the so-called pseudo-intellectuals and political rulers and the party or the people who think that Bharat is their, something like they own it. They forgot the very fact that, they have been professing Bharat Tere Tukde Honge and meeting these people.
So you're saying that there is nothing wrong in introducing a course called Islamic terrorism. Are you telling us today... No, Raman Malik, answer yes or no. Are you telling us today there is no problem in introducing a course called Islamic terrorism in a liberal arts university?
Well, they tried to establish a fact.
I'm asking you to answer us in yes or no.
Yes, I'm answering. Please understand. They try to establish something known as Hindu terrorism, which never existed, or separate Bhagwa Atankwad, which never existed. Today, the fact of the matter is that if you go into the terrorism...
Raman Malik, do you find the concept of Islamic terrorism, a course on Islamic terrorism, wrong or right?
At the end of the day...
Raman Malik, I'm going to try one more time. Raman Malik, I'm going to try one more time. I'm being very patient with you. The question is very simple. The concept of Islamic terrorism, a course on Islamic terrorism, do you find the idea right or wrong?
I find the idea of having a course based on terrorism which looks into national security and how you can safeguard it very correct, because nation is first and everything else comes last. But then when you say that the terrorism is not having a religion, is very good to speak. But when it comes, why is it that you start talking about a Ramzan ceasefire if you do not find terrorism having a religion? That is one question the people of India have.
Well, Raman Malik, let me go across. No, Raman Malik, let me go across to the rest of our panelists, because you're not answering our questions. Raman Malik, you're not answering questions here. You're going for a walk in the garden, and you're getting lost in the process. I will not allow you to take away from the debate. Let me go across to the rest of my panelists. Maskur Ahmed Usmani is the president of the AMU-SU. He joins us now. He's the president of the AMU Students Union. he has in fact written to the Ministry of HRD about this very course. Mr. Usmani, tell us what did you write? What was there in your letter to the HRD minister? What was your, did you have a problem with the course? If yes, what were the problems?
What I have written in the letter is already known to you people. But the thing is that if you are introducing a course like Islamic terrorism, you are just targeting a religion. You are just targeting a religion in the name of terrorism. And I don't think that it is correct, because once you are targeting the religion, now you are targeting Islam. After a few days, you will target Hinduism. After a few days, you will target Christianity. After a few days, you will target Buddhism. So this will go. This
Right.
will go. Okay.
Right.
So this is it means that you are linking each and every religion day by day to
Right,
the
Mr.
terrorism.
Usmani, I'm sorry, I apologize to you. There seems to be some problem with your audio connection. My team will look into it. In the meanwhile, let's go across.
But you know what?
Right,
you know
right.
what,
Mr.
actually,
Usmani, we'll come back
the
to you.
reason
We'll give you a chance to speak. Let them fix your audio because none of us are able to understand what you're saying. Let's go across to Manisha Priyam. Manisha Priyam, where do you stand on this debate?
No, I find it as an academic highly problematic that you have a course titled as this. I'm not even going to repeat that title because an academic, my degree is not even worth the piece of paper on which it is written. If I were even asked to not even teach, if I had to even review a course like this, I would find my degree not worth the name, not worth the piece of paper it is written in. Can you imagine what is the general theory this paper will teach? That you premise a particular religion, not even all religions. So if it had a general framework saying politics, religion and terrorism, I would still have gone ahead for a peer review of a syllabi of this nature. But something that is premised on one particular thing yielding to something is causative in nature. And all of the philosophy of science that I have ever been educated in at my alma mater, the London School of Economics, tells me that you need to falsify such things. The university, you know, is not a piece of land. It's a place where knowledge is produced, and knowledge is, even more importantly, it's falsified. And don't think social science is a soft discipline. And if the JNU Vice Chancellor wrongly thinks so, let him be trained by the philosophers of science. The objective of all research, science and social science, is to falsify. And if we falsify, what do we get here? That a course that is, you know, built on very tenuous premises, that this will lead to this. It cannot even stand the test of an argument, let alone time.
Manisha
So
Priyam,
no
Manisha
university
Priyam, it's interesting you bring
worth
up that
there.
point.
Just
Manisha
send this
Priyam,
course.
yeah.
No, just send this course. You just send this course to 5 or 3 American, German universities and get it peer reviewed. You will have your comments. Don't even send it to any minister or anybody.
Right.
To
Manisha
philosophers
Priyam,
of science, and they will tell you what is wrong with it.
It's interesting that you bring that up. As far as other universities are concerned, we did do a search. I did come up with the Australian National University, which has a course on Islam, the West and international terrorism. But yes, like you pointed out, very few courses, very few universities actually go out and call a course Islamic terrorism. They limit themselves to terming, labeling courses as terrorism and counter-terrorism. But here's my question to you. You wanted to know what else will be studied. Now, this is what I got from the information that we managed to get out of the university. Naxalism, insurgency and demographic change are the other issues that students who would take this proposed course will also be studying, apart from, of course, Islamic terrorism, which happens to be one of the subjects offered, one of the papers offered by this particular course. So do you think over here it is just, like you said, is it just a matter of a label? Would you agree that we need to study terrorism? They probably need to change the name of the course?
See, Kavita, the thing is that...
Hello. No, they need to have some general premises for the course. You know, you don't just study one fact as if it's disconnected. There need to be some general conceptual grounding of what you're going to study. So what is the general conceptual grounding of a course like this? Just because my name is something and I think this particular religion is something I don't like, probably I can have it in my head, or these can be my prejudices and I can live with it. But a university is not made to teach it. The university needs to have certain general and basic premises of the body of knowledge. The body of knowledge to which mankind, humankind, owes an obligation.
Right.
And what is a course like this contributing to? What is the general knowledge, general body of conceptual knowledge? So you just send this course for peer review. Since India is building world-class universities, just send it to an Australian, an English and an American university in the top 10 ranking of Times Higher Education Supplement, and please on your channel show us the review here and show the mirror to people on your channel who are arguing about these things. When we were young and the age of studying in JNU, we used to have the Sinn Féin Safa of Ireland. That was called terrorism. It had nothing to do with religion. When we grew of age, there was something called Sikhs who were angry about something which was settled through a political accord. Till the time it was not, it was called terrorism. So there can be perhaps some general body of knowledge which wants to talk about religion, politics and terrorism, but there's nothing which tells us that this leads to that. That leads to that.
Priyam, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
This is dogma.
Right.
This is dogma.
Right, Manisha Priyam, this is dogma, yeah.
This is dogma.
Raman Malik, I know you want to make a point here, and I'll let you rebut the point that Manisha Priyam just made. But let me bring in Mr. Usmani, who's not yet spoken. Go on, Mr. Usmani. You had a point to make.
Yeah. Actually, Kavita, what I said to you, that if you are targeting a religion in the name of terrorism, this is not good, because today you come up with the course of Islamic terrorism. Tomorrow you will come up with the course of Hindu terrorism. Then you will come up with the course of Buddhism terrorism. Then you will come up with the course of Christian terrorism. So you are linking a religion with terrorism, and this is completely heinous crime. In my view, this is a heinous crime. If you are linking any religion, be it Islam, be it Hinduism, Christianity or Buddhism, if you are linking any religion, then it is a serious crime.
Right.
And the thing is that the government, the present government wants a deep-rooted agenda in the central universities. That's why they are trying to do this. What happened in the academic council meeting? Everyone was opposing. The student union.
Right, Mr. Usmani, I get your point. Let me go back to Raman Malik. Raman Malik, here we have almost an entire panel which is accusing you of spreading dogma.
And you I'm really shocked.
Right. Let Raman Malik speak. Raman Malik, what do you have to say to that?
First of all, Mr. Usmani has no business as a student leader to interfere into another university's affairs. If he has a problem and he's raised the problem...
Mr. Malik, he's a citizen of this country. He has every right. No, Mr. Malik, you cannot insult my panelists. Mr. Malik, he's a citizen of this country. He has every right to freedom of expression.
Freedom of expression be there.
Mr. Malik, he has only written to the minister, only written to the HRD minister. I see nothing wrong in that.
What I'm saying, please hear me out.
I'm really very sorry. I'm really
go on.
Very sorry.
Right, Mr. Usmani, let Mr. Malik speak. Mr. Malik, go on.
Sir, my humble request to the anchor is please moderate it so that my freedom of expression is protected and people have tolerance.
Mr. Malik, we'll do that. Mr. Malik, I will do that. I request you to respect all my panelists. Go ahead.
But Mr. Malik should give this freedom to others also.
Precisely.
Please understand. Mr. Shenoy, please.
Right, let's give Mr. Malik 2 minutes. Let's give Mr. Malik 2 minutes to make his point. Mr. Usmani, let Mr. Malik speak. Mr. Usmani, let Mr. Malik speak. Let Mr. Malik speak. I'll come back to you.
Terrorism one has to face. It's on your channel. He's trying to terrorize me, not speaking my mind
Mr. Malik,
out.
Please.
Oh, Mr. Rahman,
Do not make personal comments over here. Please answer. Please.
See, I will
Stay
not
true to the
be
spirit of the debate.
Is this the way a student should operate? Is this the way a student should operate? This is what is being taught to you.
Mr. Malik.
Usmani, is this what you are being taught in your university?
Yeah, Mr. Malik, please
Just
go
keep
on.
quiet and
Mr.
listen to the
Usmani,
other person's point of
I
view.
request you to give him 2 minutes to make his point. Mr. Malik, please go on. And please do not make any personal
you.
comments.
So my point is very clear here. Number one, there have been many studies over a period of time in the same universities which go into the religion specific and the systems of that religion and whatever. My point here is, from the Lockheed bombing till recent times, there has been a particular shade into the terrorism. Yes, there have been separate incidents of terrorism in Ireland and other places. I do agree with that, but more often than not, there was a particular shade into the terrorism, and that is what they try to suppress. Please let
Mr.
me finish.
Usmani, let Mr. Malik speak. We will give you your time to speak. Let him speak. We do not speak over each other on this channel.
So whether it is people who are suffering from this so-called green-gloved terrorism, whether they are people who are conducting it or they are people who are suffering from it, mostly are from following a particular religion or whatever. Now, my point here is, and the university is free to set up its course, it has its body, and that is their department to look into. As a concerned citizen, if Mr. Usmani has written to the Honorable HRD Minister, that is his domain to look into it. The point that and the limited point that I'm making here is that there are issues. And if people do not like this course, they will not subscribe to it. They will not get into it. And it will die its own death. Why do you have to create it to be a ghost of some kind? So that is what my limited point here is. Let the university and the students decide. And suddenly, when we forget. Please,
Mr. Usmani,
let me conclude
let him finish.
Let me conclude my point. Sir, would you let me conclude your point, or would you carry on of what you've learned? Don't show that what you've learned is wrong. My point here is that let one students understand what the course is. If they do not like to subscribe it, it will die at own death. And if you've written, that is subject to the HRD minister, and he will take an appropriate action as per law of the nation. The third point is, you as a student union are there in AMU, and let JNU be free of its own student union to conduct its own part here. Whereas, if you have any questions, you raise. So I think there is no point to become a hero for good for nothing thing. And yes, I have a strong objection when anybody, in any student, in any university goes about shouting, Bharat Tere Tukde Honge. I would like
Raman
to
Malik, nobody has spoken about Bharat Tere Tukde. Please don't bring that up. Please don't bring that up on this debate. We are not even discussing it. Let me go across. Let me now go across to my first caller for the evening. Major Vijay has called in from Delhi. Major Vijay, thank you for calling in. Where do you stand on this debate?
Good evening to the gentleman and the lady. First of all, I would like to say, because it is a pure and academic discussion that is happening, whereas when it comes to a level at my level or the service level that I do, we are the practical applicants of the entire concept and the fighting against it. Now, unless we don't study the history, we are condemned to repeat it. Now, whether it is Islamic terrorism or any other thing, it is just a nomenclature. We have to study terrorism in its holistic sense, emergence, spread, and everything. My simple question is, I agree that terrorism doesn't have religion. But why every terrorist who has been caught or killed belong to a particular religion?
Good question.
So we need to understand why it is happening, because the interlocutors of the religion are of the extremist thinking. They don't have scientific background. They don't have academic background. So we need to get into the closing the weeding ground, not the breeding ground, the weeding ground. So it is important that we study the concept of terrorism. Illustrious institute like JNU, should be an ideal place because many army officers study there and the graduates of NDA pass out from that university with a degree. So student union coming into everything, I don't think they have mandate to question everything because they are not facing it.
Right. Major Vijay, you put a very good, you made a very good point. But here's the thing that I want to ask you: by labeling a course, like you said, it is important to study terrorism. But by labeling a course Islamic terrorism, are you running the risk of labeling members of a particular religious community? Do you think that should be done, or should we just have a course called terrorism studies?
Problem in labeling of that one, change the nomenclature. You say the emergence of modern trends of terrorism and the role of religion in that. Obviously, the muck will come out.
Right. I thank you. Thank you, Major Vijay, for your call. Vaibhav is also on the phone line from Delhi. Vaibhav, what do you have to say?
Yeah. Recently, a report from Amnesty International has come that 100 Hindus has been massacred.
Vaibhav, please stick to the point. What is the point you're trying to make? We are talking, right. Made very pertinent points over here. Their point is that you need to study terrorism. And also you need to accept that all the people who have been caught, all the terrorists who have been caught, like Major Vijay said, belong to a particular community.
All right,
and
the first point.
The name of a particular religion.
And by the way, I'm quite grateful for Dr. Priyam for clearing up some of the debris which is accumulated. But I want to stress again, the faculty of JNU was not represented adequately in the academic council meeting. And this is not the first time. We would not have passed a course like this. Secondly, as the majors also pointed out, using a term of a particular religion doesn't make any sense. But let's move terrorism aside and look at religion. We in this country have had a spate of communal riots where various different religions have been involved. Are we saying that this should be terrorism, it should be that? No, don't interrupt me. I did not interrupt you.
Nobody spoke when you were speaking. Let Dr. Shenoy make his point. We'll come back to you.
He's moving away from the issue and communalizing it.
I mean, we know that in 1984, Sikhs were killed. We know there have been riots against Muslims. We don't talk about terrorism. We don't say terrorism in our own country. So I think that this use of Islamic terrorism is derogatory.
Mr. Usmani, Mr. Malik, if you speak over each other, nobody is going to understand. Everybody will be given a chance to speak. Let Dr. Shenoy finish what he's saying. Dr. Shenoy, please.
You see the moment, number one, about religion. Now, you have ISIS. ISIS is Sunni. You have the Shias in Iran. They have fought ISIS. So you can't say there's one Islamic terrorism because Islam also is divided into various sub-religions. Same for Christianity. When Serbia and Yugoslavia broke up, look, I am a teacher, you aren't, keep quiet. So when in Serbia, look, if he doesn't let me speak,
Raman Malik, we'll come back to you. If you keep talking like this, I'll have to ask my team to cut your audio. You're not letting him make his point.
Please do so.
You're not letting him make his point.
Even if you look outside India, if you look at Yugoslavia, where Serbia, Croatia and all were formed, they had different religions. Some were Christians, some were Muslim. In the Christians, there were different factions. No one said that what you're having in Yugoslavia is a kind of terrorism. So terrorism is quite complex. And in a country, in India, which has a certain history between certain communities, it is very dangerous to make a bland, supposedly bland statement. But I think your correction is correct. It's a bizarre proposal and detrimental to the secular fabric of this country. If we can't understand that, more of these courses will come and confuse the students and make a marked decline in not only JNU but other universities.
Right. And that is a very important point here, Raman Malik. The fact that these are impressionable minds, these are young minds, people who will go on to become leaders, people who will go on to shape public thought. And if you begin by prejudicing them, what are they going to do when they go out into the world? Raman Malik.
So what happens when they are prejudiced, when their minds are infected and they become prejudiced about a lot of issues which talk about, it's okay, it's cool to be anti-establishment. That's completely okay because that is your mind. But then being totally against, the mindset of having a divided country or having a mindset of Bharat Tere Tukde Honge, which was evident. You tell me.
Raman Malik, by calling a course Islamic terrorism, aren't you dividing the country? Aren't you dividing the country here by calling a course Islamic terrorism? Why not just call it terrorism?
No, the root
No, why not just call it terrorism studies? What is the problem?
Communist mindset. Mr. Shenoy can go about safeguarding and defending Bharat Tere Tukde Honge gang, but he is professing this and do not tell them nationalism.
I've never done that.
Today the university is trying to tell what nationalism is and how to protect your country. This is bad.
Right. Let's give Mr. Usmani. Raman Malik, I apologize. This time I apologize to you. Raman Malik, I apologize to you. Mr. Usmani speaking over you. Mr. Usmani, I'm giving you 2 minutes. Make your point quickly. Mr. Usmani. Mr. Usmani.
Listen to that and not to anything new.
Actually, what he's doing, he's just misleading the debate.
For the last so many years.
No, he's telling that the student union does not have the mandate.
Mr. Usmani, if you keep talking over Raman Malik, it will make no sense. Can you wait? Can you let him speak and then I'll come to you?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Mr. Usmani, wait. Let Mr. Raman Malik make his point and then we'll come to you. Mr. Malik, quickly.
So all that I'm saying is, if these courses are there, or if any other courses, that is the discretion of the VC and the HRD ministers. Let's kind of rest it there. But what a point of debate, all that I'm saying is, all these people today who have a problem are basically people who are running this system that till the time the youth of India is continuing with the ideology that they have sold over the period of years is okay, but if they get to have another dimension of what things are and then probably choose, they do not want this youth to choose. They want this youth to follow their ideology only because they have been trying to protect a particular mindset. And that is where the problem is. The problem is that why should the youth now start looking into all possible directions? It is about the fact that my empire that I've set up on the premise of, yes, you have to question this and you don't have to question this, gets rattled. You're giving the freedom to the youth to have a choice. And that is where the problem is.
Mr. Malik, you make a very bizarre, let me put it this way. Mr. Malik, you're making a very bizarre argument. I'll go to Manisha Priyam, but first let Mr. Usmani have a say. Mr. Usmani, quickly tell us what is it that you've been trying to tell us.
The thing is that these people always argue that the student union does not have to mandate to question such things. I just want to ask, the student union is officially the member of the academic council. Who will question? Who will question the academic council? Who will question about the academic matters? The student union will not question.
So, but
they always try to say the student union
I would like the answer to ask Mr. Usmani, is he part of the JNU student union?
What you tell? They are promoting the ideology of left or they are communist. I don't know what their ideology is. If their ideology is left, then it's okay. किसी की कोई भी ideology हो सकती है रमन. इसमें कोई ऐसी बात नहीं, Mr. Raman. I just want to tell you, you are from a political party BJP. You have the ideology of
right. Right,
So
Mr. Usmani, you made your point. Mr. Usmani, fine. Fine. Mr. Usmani, you made your point. Let me now go across. Mr. Usmani, right, you made your point. Mr. Usmani, you made your point. Let me go across. No, let me go across to Manisha Priyam. No, let me go across to Manisha Priyam.
Union leader of JNU or AMU?
Raman Malik, you just said that I'm the moderator of this debate. If you would not let me moderate, how can we move on? Mr. Usmani, Manisha Priyam, here's my question to you. Manisha Priyam, here's my question to you. What Raman Malik just tried to explain to our viewers is that there is no difference between a course that is probably titled Marxism or leftist ideology and a course that is titled Islamic terrorism. Both of them are just titles. They are just defining the course.
If you are labeling terrorism with any religion, this is very harmful.
Mr. Usmani?
Islam is
Right. Mr. Usmani, I'm just asking for Manisha Priyam to react.
Just give me 10 seconds. I just want to know that the government don't have funds to run the existing courses, but they have funds to run these type of courses. They are continuously cutting the fund for the central university.
Right. Mr. Usmani, that's a completely different debate. That's a completely different debate. Do not take away from the focus. Let me go across to Manisha Priyam. No, Raman Malik, Manisha Priyam, tell us this.
5 seconds, my humble submission to you.
Raman Malik, let her respond to what you said earlier.
Student leader of JNU or AMU. He's probably forgotten.
Raman Malik and Mr. Usmani. Manisha Priyam, please tell us. Please respond to the question I just put to you. Do you think it is a label on the lines of other labels for courses?
Okay, so let me begin by saying that this is not about labels. You know, universities don't sell products by labels. Universities do some fundamental job with respect to knowledge. And I'm surprised and horrified to hear that one very dignified member on your panel says that the discretion to choose courses is that of the Vice Chancellor or of the HRD Minister. Sorry, very respected, humbly I submit that universities have due procedures. No,
please,
sir.
You've not heard me correctly.
Sir, then you have your word, sir.
Discretion to react on a complaint.
Sir,
the discretion to act on a complaint is of the BE and the HRD Minister.
Mr. Malik, that was in fact going to be my next question. Mr. Malik, that was in fact going to be the next question I wanted to ask Manisha Priyam, but I'm thankful that she brought it up. I'm grateful she brought it up. Manisha Priyam, go on. Continue with what you are saying. Manisha Priyam.
No, can you see that the strategy is that even for a person like me, the strategy is only that of heckling. Now, knowledge is put to the test of arguments, and those arguments happen in academic councils. A vice chancellor that dismisses 7 deans, not 1, not 2, 7 deans at one go, doesn't want to hold academic councils. I do not belong to JNU, sir. I have never studied there, nor I am an advocate of that system. But I find it quite hideous. No university in the world has gone through a systematic purge of its own academic council. And it cannot be done by opinion of bystanders outside. Any syllabi has to go through consultation. Second, very importantly, sir, very humbly, you will find that many public universities around this country emulate from the syllabi set up in eminent institutions like the JNU or the Delhi University. I am myself aware that a book that I wrote in 2006 became an important text for students in Jharkhand, in Kochi, all over. So do you want to have a course of this nature emulated all across India? Do you want to show India these transcripts go abroad? When students go abroad, transcripts go with them, not just their mark sheet. The transcripts show what you have been taught in your parent university. The child, through his student mobility, will show to the world, sir, that this is what India is teaching. So either you want to reinvent the India with its golden past, where knowledge was supreme, or you want to reinvent this India, where your students will go with this label, that in India's pioneer university, I studied this course, not duly verified, not duly debated upon, and not tested on any pedestal of knowledge. As far as your idea of ideology goes, let me tell you, sir, very honestly, I have been to the JNU and there is no patthar there कि यहाँ आप check कीजिए कि आप communist और Marxist हैं. I go there, I speak my mind, I critique what I hear, I receive criticism, and I come back and I find validated with the 5 criticisms I receive and the 2 I may be able to offer.
Raman Malik.
There's nothing Marxist about it.
Raman Malik.
It is a method of critique. It's a method of dialogue.
Raman Malik, I would like you, I would like you to rebut what Manisha Priyam just said, and I'll also like you to rebut to what Dr. Shenoy said earlier. He said that this is nothing but a mere political gambit. Are you trying to politicize India's campus?
See, first of all, one must understand that Manisha ji, let me clarify. My total comment towards the VC and the Honorable HRD Minister was limited to the scope that if a student body or any other individual who has a problem with this course and has complained, these are the 2 people who are competent to handle that complaint. And that was limited to that only. So please do not have any other ideas onto my comment and do not put any other words into it. So limiting to that. Now, further to that, now the comment of Dr. Shenoy, I would humbly request this, that the very opening statement of Mr. Shenoy clearly states that he has a simple prophecy which was being followed, and he professes the same thing, that today and in time immemorial, since the universities were set up in free India, it is that he is saying that VCs have been appointed by political ideologies. That is what he has said. And that is what it turns out into.
No, I did not say.
He didn't say that. He said this course that you're trying to introduce is a political gambit.
Sir, you said, Mr. Shenoy, you said, and very clearly I remember, you said that this VC
I said only about this Vice Chancellor.
He has certain things. So let's say whatever the other VCs have written.
But VCs have been in
Raman Malik, I'm running out of time.
1969.
Raman Malik, I'm running out of time. Very quickly answer this one question for us. The question that Dr. Shenoy raised in the beginning of the show. Is this a mere political gambit? Are you trying to earn political brownie points through this particular course that is being discussed around in the JNU?
Sorry. See, the problem is mostly people into the opposing mindset have this thought process that this is the standard operating procedure to oppose and inculcate certain systems into the system, just to govern it, just to override it, or just to control it. The problem is they have a government, they have a system which says that the law is supreme, the constitution is the gospel truth by which we should follow. And probably now, since the government operates on the holy book of constitution, they have a problem.
Raman Malik, I'm running out of time. I gave you enough time to answer, and I'm happy you brought up the constitution, because the Constitution of India says that India is a secular country. I hope you understand what secular means, which is the reason why so many people on the panel today have a problem against the word Islamic terrorism. Nobody has a problem with the fact that the university is trying to study terrorism. We acknowledge that terrorism is a very real, is real. It's our reality, and this is something that we need to study. But should we label it? That is a question that we must ponder over. I'll end with what one of our viewers has written on Invol, and by the way, let me also tell you, this is what the United Nations believes, that terrorists are extremist groups paid to operate with certain objectives. They do not care what religion you come from, and which is also the reason why the United Nations doesn't have a definition for terrorism. I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching.